everybody, whether you're on the East Coast, West Coast, or around the world. This is Coast to Coast. We got the entire staff here since Dustin decided to show up last second.
Man, you're lucky you showed up, Dustin. I was about to talk some serious smack.
I've been outside snow blowing since 9 o'clock this morning.
Yeah, I bet you were blowing a lot of things.
Yeah, I'm here. I
literally just got in the house at like 10:58.
I don't know many guys named Snow, so
yeah.
But the second part's tracking.
we got enough snow outside yesterday to last me a month now, so we're good.
What a time. I'll tell you, I don't miss that snow blowing. I'll tell you that. Hell no.
Yeah, it's supposed to snow here later today, so I'm not looking forward to it. But tonight we have our annual, everybody comes in the bar and we do our Chris Max X XXX caroling, Xmas caroling or XXX caroling, Xmas.
Yeah. I mean, as soon as you went to the XXX part of it, now I'm intrigued. Like what?
Any dirty carol that you could think of is sung at the bar this evening.
I got you.
And everybody is fair game. So if you show up, wear your thick skin because you're going to get your balls busted.
Nice.
Lord have mercy. I'll tell you, hey, so apparently I have been now voluntold that I'm going to enter a chili cook-off now. So, and apparently there's 20 teams that are going to be doing this, and we're all vying for prizes. So it's going to be interesting, man. I got a hybrid, right? I basically took a bean soup and I took a chili and I basically blended the two. And I'll tell you right now, it's on point, man. Don't worry. I'll make sure y'all have when you come here.
I always enjoy a good chili cook-off because I like chili. And so I'm just like, hey, let me. The only thing that's a bummer is you always end up with at least 2 entries that are terrible.
Oh, of course. Absolutely.
I like to enter them with the worst. Like I always like getting it. Like if you're going to have me get into a chili cook-off, I'm going to get some like Wendy's chili. and then I'm going to go put in some more kidney beans uncooked. You know what I mean? And then kind of mix that up, throw in a whole bunch of like sauce that's like really hot, little chili powders, and so that when you taste this, you're like.
So what you should do, like if you're trying for the worst, don't put more kidney beans. Substitute it with lima beans because they look similar.
Yeah. Well, you know what? So I just came up with a hybrid chili like last year. I took hey, what's up, Joe? What's up, Joe? I took my Uncle Bill's bean soup recipe. He's wanted to cook off with that several times at the Houston Livestock Show. So I took that recipe and I marinated it with my wife's homemade chili recipe, and I marinated the two together. And everybody has loved it. So I'm curious to see, because a lot of the teams, there's a lot of catering companies that are jumping into this, right? So you got a lot of big dogs up in there. So I'm curious to see how I will fare against those guys. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be a lot of fun.
I went to one when I was still living in Mexico, right? And chili, believe it or not, is hard to find down there. No big shock, right?
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, a chili cook-off, that'll be rad. It was not. So there was like 43 entries roughly. I think there was 3 edible ones. None that I would say was like good, where you're like, here we go. Like 3 of them, you're like, oh, I don't need to spit this out.
Got ya.
So don't go to Mexico.
See, mine actually will taste at least somewhat worthwhile once you put it in your mouth. It's the swallowing part that'll be hard to do. Like once you swallow, you're like, "Ooh, what did I just do?"
I don't understand this. We got swallowing, we got blowing, we got XXX videos at a bar. I'm just saying, where is this show heading? This is crazy.
I mean, we just need to do some sound bites from Collinsworth. Deep penetration in the backfield, or Aikman is coming all over his face.
He hasn't seen a hole that big in years.
Right.
I'm sorry, but hey, listen, if you really listen to like a lot of the sports commentary on football, Oh man, there's so many puns you can make on
Same
it.
thing with baseball. And,
Yeah,
and listen, they used to have Sarge do some of the Phillies games. And I tell you, there was this one time where he was like, literally everything he said, it started off, and all I can remember is the very beginning of this statement, because he goes, yeah, he jerks off the ball. And the rest of it went exactly as you would suspect it to go in this conversation. And they said, okay, we can't have you be on TV anymore.
Yeah, no,
It was that statement. It was hysterical. It made social media. It was like, and it was all baseball related, but you had everybody kind of laughing in the background. And he's like, "What? I don't understand. What are you talking about?" Like,
last year in the Arizona Fall League, when they do like the Arizona Fall League games, there was like a pitcher that kept like looking down at the baseball, and the announcer's like, it's almost like he spits on the ball, rubs it up, and fires. I'm like, well, that's gonna be
that's right.
That you can go off of.
Hey, just real quick, West Coast win. I understand that authentic chili doesn't have beans in it, but there's two categories. You have the original chili, and then they have another category for hybrids, and I'm in the category for hybrids. So yeah, I got what you're saying though, West Coast, absolutely crazy times.
I have had a bison burger, and it is good.
They're good.
Yeah, no, it's good.
I've never had bison meat before, and my wife's like, "You should try this. It's good." I'm like, "I don't know, man. I don't know." I didn't like deer meat as much. I like it now. I've gotten a taste for it, but yeah, you're right. So we got some bison meat. We made patties out of it. We threw it on the grill, and she did a good job with it. I mean, it was good.
No. Bison burgers are good. Deer is funny because I actually like it best as jerky.
Yeah,
right?
I'm a big venison jerky guy.
Absolutely.
Like when I do my burgers, though, I kind of do mine medium rare, right? I like a little bit of juice up in mine. Can you do bison burgers medium rare, or do they have to be cooked like chicken, like all the way through?
You could do it medium rare.
Yeah.
So with bison, you probably want to do it more medium.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just because you want it to be a little bit more cooked, because it is more gamey than just regular steer. I can imagine that you could probably do it. Like if you are eating bison that isn't being hunted, that means it's also farm raised. Any meat that is purchased in the United States has to be farm raised, including like alligators, elk, things like that. In fact, there's a place up near Seattle that used to have that. They used to even have like lions, like that they farm raise lions. You could have lion meat and such.
That's insane.
Yeah, it's like I want to say it used to be up in Seattle. I don't know if it's still there or not anymore. But I mean, I have a hotel restaurant management degree, and I'll say 20 some years ago, I was considering trying to open up a restaurant that would only be specialty meats. So like bison would be on the menu, and like kangaroo and stuff like that. Like you get real steaks, like specialty steaks, rabbit. Like you can't get this stuff anywhere unless you're actually a hunter. But ultimately, if you're going to do that at a restaurant, you have to buy it in a legitimate source. And ultimately, there was this place that was it was in Washington. I'm saying it was near Seattle. I could be way off from that. It could be in the other corner of the state of Washington.
Yeah.
But literally it was for specialty meats, and you could order lion, you could order kangaroo, you could order ostrich.
That's messed up. That's kind of funny though. But the only thing about that, when you talk about these exotic meats, though, I mean, the clientele would be far less. Like my mom, she won't eat half of these crazy things. There's a lot of people I think would. I mean, is that still a good viable?
It has to be done. That concept can only work in a city that has over 1 million or so people.
Oh no!
And you have to do some very unique marketing. I mean, you'd have normal steaks there as well. Like, I mean, and that's where you'd have to go with monster steaks. Like, you'd have to have big cuts of meat. So you're getting normal meat as well. But and it was going to be like, I was going to make it a very like high-end, extravagant
What
jungle
what you're
theme.
talking about is they can only really work in a high-end environment. I don't think that would work on the low end. But the very, like for example, I was talking about that B&B Butchers. When you come here, I'm going to take you there. That's a very high-end place. I think they got the Wagyus and all that craziness. I think you could probably make that work.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, and that's exactly it. When you start to talk about meat in that type of way, I mean, you could spend. I mean, I have had $1,000 ounce meat. You know what I mean?
That's insane.
And you don't eat a lot of that. Like you get slivers. No, because it's actually prepared very similar to like a tuna tartare,
right.
sort of where it's very thinly sliced. You get like a little bit of that.
Oh, yeah. I've had
Sometimes they put caviar on top of it. Like I said, and it's a fantastic tasting meat, and it's very rich. You can't have 3 pieces of it because it's just too much. It's too much.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's almost the same way as like when like a B&B Butchers, you can get Louis Trey there. But when you get Louis Trey, it's $350 for like it's $350 per shot. So it comes in a sifter glass. That may be 2 shots. I apologize. It may be 2 shots, but it comes in a sifter glass. But it's not much. It's very, but so you're not drinking it like you would anything else. You smell it, whatever, and then you think about drinking it. But because it's very high end.
Well, we see your post, man.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I'm gonna message him right now. So
yeah. That being said, if you are into gambling on food that can kill you like a blowfish, you can also gamble right alongside us here on Coast to Coast. Use the QR code on the screen, up to 125% of your first 3 deposits. And of course, 10% bet guarantee. There is no guarantee if you eat a bad blowfish, though. You do die. So try not to do that. And then, of course, if you're here in the Pacific Northwest, you can use this QR code on the screen as well. Free 5-day pass at any of the True Fusion gyms, whether it's Bellevue, Ballard, University Village, Pilates, boot camp, yoga, bar, and more. Find your edge at True Fusion Gym. Seemed like a good time to knock that out.
No. Hey, the segue was asking for it, almost begging for it. Hey, this is a little time. Can I do Stump the Panel? I told you about that the other day.
Yeah, I mean, might as well. This is as good a time as any. We weren't talking about sports anyway.
No, I really want to see if Stat Guy gets this because I know he has all the crazy stuff. But there has only been one person to ever get 2 Heismans, and he got him in back-to-back years. Do you know who that person was and the years he won it?
I think it was the 80s, wasn't it?
You tell me.
I don't. Well, obviously, it wasn't alive before 1989, but wasn't it?
It wasn't Eric Dickerson, right? From SMU in like 1980 and 81.
No.
You weren't around before 89, and he's off the show. No,
no, I thought wasn't it like 83 and 84?
No, it was not.
Okay, then I have no idea.
Yeah, I have no idea who it is.
Pags.
Vince Young in 2003 and 4.
No. The only one that ever got 2 Heismans, and he got him in consecutive years, was Archie Griffith. Yeah, I think it's Griffith or Griffin. Griffith. I think it's Archie Griffith.
I feel like you're supposed to know because it's your.
No, I know. Those 2 names. Anyway, he got it in 1974, and he got it in 1975.
Okay.
But he's the only one that's ever gotten 2 Heismans, which I think is kind of crazy. I thought there'd at least be maybe one more. Griffin, thank you.
There you go.
I always want to say Griffin. I don't know, whatever. But Archie Griffin.
So, all right. I guess I got to mention this before we start talking about the history of games being played in Notre Dame. So the Sixers, the Philadelphia City Council, voted to move to allow the Sixers to build a stadium in downtown. Okay. And because they are going to be doing that, it's like it's come under a tremendous amount of controversy all the way around. It's that obviously Chinatown is in that area. They also have the gallery. They also have the Pennsylvania the Philadelphia Convention Center, all in that spot. And it's become an area that has been a little bit of a blight to a certain extent. And of course, there's been lots of people that have been against this. I'm going to go ahead and say it's been, although it got passed through city council, that popular opinion has had it 25% positive, 75% negative. So with the Sixers moving their arena to downtown, which, to be honest, I mean, I know that will pretty much stop me from going to these games because there's no way that I can get there easy. Like, I have a train right across the street. And it's going to be a real big pain in the ass. And I could get there via SEPTA and stuff like that, but that's not how I travel. I drive to places, and I'm not going to drive downtown for this to try to find parking and try to deal with all of that stuff and that mess that's going to occur from that. I'm not a real big fan of this. However, I am, change is always miserable. You know what I mean? And that's kind of what's happening here, that there is a lot of misery that is coming along with this potential of this $1.3 billion stadium being built in Center City. The problem I run into in a big way, and this was kind of touched on by a friend of mine, E-Rock, was that in Philadelphia right now, all the stadiums, minus the soccer stadium, but all the stadiums are in one area. And that's what makes it unique. That's what makes Philadelphia really fantastic. And I feel that the ownership group of the Sixers, which is the Harris Group, who also own the Washington, whatever they're called this week, and the Jersey Devils, and a soccer team somewhere. This is the problem when it comes to ownership that only really care about money and they don't really care about championships. And that's what they're doing. They're spending some money. And I actually hope that this actually opens the door for a new Philadelphia basketball team. That if they were going to come play, so ultimately them leaving, I know that now the WNBA has got a spot. So, and Wanda Sykes, who happens to live in Delaware County, Pennsylvania, has been pushing to have the Philadelphia Sisters become a real entity. So with this building of a new stadium, I suspect that the Sisters will probably get pushed through a lot faster now because they're going to have the ability to do that. You know what I mean? And my expectation is that they'll only get about 8,000 fans. You know what I mean? 8 to 10,000 fans. Sure. It's not going to be blowing up like it is crazy everywhere else. I think that Philadelphia, it moves slow in that regard. But I like the idea of having that there. And to be honest, I would love to see another NBA team possibly come in here and now have Philadelphia have 2 NBA teams. Because amongst anything else, Philadelphia is a basketball city. I am a hockey guy, and hockey in Philadelphia have the most loyal fans of all of them. But basketball does reign supreme over both of those sports. Actually, you could almost argue that basketball is on the same level as baseball in this town, which is strange because obviously the Sixers aren't packing them in every night. Right. But I'd be willing to bet that if they did have somebody come in here who actually wanted to have a real team, and actually spend the money, that Philadelphia could handle 2 basketball teams, and that I would actually go to the 1 basketball team because I could care less about the Harris Blitzen group anymore. I don't care about them anymore. They do not care. They do not care about the fan. Yeah. They have only made decisions. They have only made decisions that have lined their pockets, and that's it. So I don't care about them anymore. You know what I mean? I have been silent. I have been silent in my boycotts. I am silent no more. I am silent.
The way you feel about them is the same way I feel about Jerry Jones. Trust me, I understand about shitty ownership groups and how the fans don't like it because I don't like it. I will tell you this though, I agree with you because Pags, you've been to the Houston baseball field. You know it's in downtown, and then the basketball team is on the other side of downtown. But both of them are in downtown, and $40 to park my car. And if I want to get reasonable parking, I got to go about 15 blocks up, and then I still got to pay $10. I mean, it's just crazy to me. And that's not even to traffic. My God, it takes you like 4 days just to get home. You know,
yeah, that's why I can only imagine the gridlock that will occur in that area trying to get out of that area, because there's no easy way in, there's no easy way out. So you're going to have tremendous gridlock, and I think that that's going to create an issue that they are not ready for. They are expecting that most of these people coming into these stadiums, into that stadium, is going to be traveling via public transportation.
Oh, hell yeah.
And
or Uber.
From what I understand, the reason why this all got passed is because SEPTA is having a hard time financing everything the way that they are, and that they needed this to pass to be able to get the influx of money that they need to be able to support their just a normal everyday operation. Because normally they get a stipend from the state, but the state said no. And now that stipend's coming in because of the building of a new stadium. That's city worked it out a different way. And I'm not a big fan of this. This is actually holding the fans of the city hostage, very similar to the way Norman Brayman did as an Eagle. And I'm just, and I hated him. And I'm beginning to hate this group as well.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
Fair enough.
I'd be taking Uber everywhere you will. Paris, where you live at, I just take an Uber. Wow. Unless you just live an extremely far away.
AJ, I'm sorry, you weren't here for this conversation yesterday. We are trying to do our best not to curse anymore. Just so you know.
Yeah.
So I'm not chastising you. I'm just letting you know. We had a small conversation. We're trying to limit our cursing.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I mean, so you just can't talk anymore is really what it is.
Wait a minute now. Hold on. I will tell you I cuss. I will tell you that. I do. Because look, 30 years or almost 30 years in the military, you're gonna cuss.
No, absolutely.
We just try.
But look, Pax is a sailor, so I know he cusses. But anyway,
of course I do. And I was just making the statement. I wasn't yelling at you or anything. I was just saying.
No, you're good. You're good. I appreciate that.
You weren't here for that conversation. We are just going to try to limit.
Yeah. Well, and I've worked in the trades all my life, right? We use all those words like connecting words, like and the. So
trust me. We're
on camera, so we're trying to be better about it. Joe,
we are just going to try.
This here is it's a very rare event. Basically, it's a fair catch, free kick. Yeah. Is basically how it went. Now they made one. It's the first completed one since 1976. Incidentally, it was the Chargers then also. But it happens about once a decade. The scenario just really has to come together because you basically need to be able to not only fair catch it, but you need some help, right? Because nobody's kicking it from their own 30. So you need a scenario like what happened last night, where there was a penalty that got him into long field goal range, but you get to kick that from a tee, and obviously you're in a kickoff formation. It is returnable, so it's a very unique situation. It's a kind of an obscure rule, but
the guy didn't even use a tee though. The guy when he did that, he had another guy hold the ball for him. But I'm sure it's for the win. But that would be my first indicator. If you got somebody out there, I don't know. That was weird. That was such a weird
no.
thing.
I mean, so you can do it either way. The biggest thing is you don't have any defense against it, right? Because you're essentially foregoing the drive, right? The opportunity, which is why it only ever happens in the closing seconds. In this case of the half,
and I don't like that rule. To me,
they can't return it either.
Is it just a dead ball from there?
Yeah, and so what happens is that's why there's no defense. So if he missed that kick, like if he was short, where you could almost have somebody try to catch it and run it back, can't do that. So ultimately, it was a free play with no time left on the clock.
Yeah,
but that's so unfair to the defense because you're putting the defense. They're thinking you're doing a field. Everybody knows that, and then to me, for you to be able to do
no. You can only kick the ball.
You can only kick it. Yeah.
No, I understand that, but what I'm saying is you're putting the defense in a bad spot because to me it's unfair because you have the advantage of knowing what you're going to do. So there are a lot. I mean, I don't like that rule. I don't like that rule.
There's no
trick.
trick.
If you're going to line up, if you're going to line up in a kicking formation, then that should lock you into kicking the damn ball, whether it be a side kick or whatever. If you're going to try to tell me now I'm going to do a field goal, well, you didn't give me the opportunity to defend because you're telling me you're in a kickoff formation.
It's a free kick. There's no defense.
I don't know. I'm not. I guess maybe I'm not understanding. I mean, because they're kicking a field goal. Like, how do you get a free kick? Like,
wasn't a drop kick. Was not a drop kick, Mac. It was a free kick field goal. So
yes.
they kicked. They got a fair catch because there's no time left on the clock. They could invoke this rule where if you fair catch the ball at that point, you could kick a field goal. If you miss that field goal, the other team gets the ball back again.
Yeah.
So it's not like you get to kick the field goal. Oh, I missed the field goal. Now I get to try to run my plays. No, it was literally, it can only work right now in these very unique circumstances where they punt the ball away and they do a fair catch and they do it at that point. They're going to kick the field goal right there because they know that if they miss, half is over. If they make it, the half is over. Either way, it's the end.
Well, that's so crazy. This is why they did it, is because there was a penalty, because people kick far enough that this rule really isn't really used, because even when they're backed all the way in their end zone, they can usually punt a ball outside of where somebody can kick it. The biggest thing is because it's a free kick, you don't have a defense. They can get a lower launch angle because they don't have anyone trying to block this kick. So all of a sudden you can hit from a further distance. But again, you would lose possession if you were to ever do it during the game, which is why it doesn't happen.
Right. Yeah. So like if you had 5 seconds left and you got a punt and so like you're here at your own 40. Yeah. Your side of the 40, you could invoke that free kick. It's a 70-yard field goal, but you could do a lower trajectory because there's nobody in front of you. It's not like you're going to be able. Not many people can make a 70-yard kick.
Yeah, right.
With the defense coming at them because you're too low. Yeah. It's too low to the ground. The trajectory is only going to be like at a launch angle of about 30 degrees.
Yeah, it's the launch angle of a block is what it is.
Right. So
yeah, that's interesting. I guess I learned something new. I didn't even know they had this free kick thing. I never heard of that.
Rule again. Like the last time it was successful was 76, and I think the last time it was done was 20 years ago. So I mean, it's not something that happens very often. It happens even less often than the drop kick that Brady did. A decade ago.
Was it Brady or was it what's his face? Bledsoe, not Bledsoe. Flutie.
I thought
Flutie was the one who did the last drop kick.
I thought Brady did one at one point.
I'm not sure that he did, but he might have. I don't know that he was a kicker for anything, but I know Flutie was trained in that and did one as a New England Patriot.
Hey, stat guy, since you're not really participating this morning, you want to look that up?
I'm just letting you guys have yours right now. I didn't watch Thursday Night Football last night, so I have no say in it.
Well, I know that I had a whole parlay that was great, starting with Denver winning this game.
Yeah. I thought for sure Chicago was going to be the one that let you down.
Yeah, now everything else will win, I'm sure.
Doug Flutie was the last one before Cameron Dicker.
To attempt it or to successfully do it?
To successfully do it.
Who was the last to attempt it?
So is Doug Flutie also.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, there's a couple of very unique rules that are like old school rules that you could use. Like for instance, I think the last time this rule was invoked was by the Eagles, the quick kick. That you can kick a punt on third down or second down or first down if you want to.
Yep.
So, and they invoked it. I believe, I don't know if it was the longest punt ever, but like Cunningham may have been the last person to perform a quick kick where it was like they wanted to try to change field possession or position. Yeah. And, he did a kick on third down while the defense was not ready for it.
And he hit a bomb.
And kicked it like 60 yards.
Yeah, he launched a bomb off that kick.
Linda coming in with some hot questions. I guess Mac is a little spry today, asking Dustin, "Hey Dustin, are your Vikings a legitimate Super Bowl contender?"
If they get home field, yes.
That sounds like a possible maybe.
So
if they get home field, yes, just because they do have a lot of key pieces out on defense right now that with that extra week off, they would get them back. Versus if they don't get home field, they will not have them back for that first game of the playoffs, depending on who they're matched up against. It could ultimately be a one-and-done situation for them.
Well, based on that theory, it's in New Orleans this year, so not winning a ring anyway. Then
because Stephen Gilmore is the biggest one that they're missing right now. He has a hamstring injury, but they're not putting him on IR because it's a hamstring injury. If he's good to go, he'll go. If he's not good to go, he's not going to go. But they've already said he's going to miss his third game.
Every player actually.
Well, because usually when you have a hamstring injury, you're automatically going to get put on IR because they typically take 4 weeks. And right now, Gilmore's on week 3 without his injury this week. He's already been ruled out for Sunday. So that's the third game that he's missing with a hamstring injury. If he ends up missing a 4th game against the Packers, then they have to play. That's the question. Do you have to IR him at that point? They don't want to do it yet. Because
you don't have to IR him. You would just lose the spot on your roster.
Which they're not going to want to do heading into the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, you're just not going to IR him. It's not like you're forced to because he missed time. Like, that's a decision by the team.
Right. I do think Minnesota is a legitimate Super Bowl contender. It's just a matter of, can Sam Darnold play the way he's played? Or is he going to show up with an old Sam Darnold old type of game in the playoffs?
Man, you are really breathing confidence into this conversation.
No, because the way they've played like a Super Bowl contender all season. Detroit has played like a Super Bowl contender all season. Same thing with the Eagles. But right now, a lot of people are starting to wonder if Detroit is actually a Super Bowl contender anymore because of the injuries. And that's a valid question to ask because they have been playing like a Super Bowl contender all year, but now all of a sudden they have so many injuries, it's getting to the point where can they overcome those injuries?
It is pretty wild that they have 15 defensive players on IR.
Yeah. And like the same thing with Minnesota. They've been playing like Super Bowl contenders, I would say every game besides 3. They've had the 2 losses, and then they had that one ugly game against Jacksonville where they won 12-7. Outside of that, Minnesota's been playing like Super Bowl contenders pretty much all year. But then again, Sam Darnold, outside of that 1-3 interception game against the Jaguars, hasn't really looked like the Sam Darnold that everybody knew from the Jets. Is he going to show up like the old Jet Sam Darnold in the playoffs? Because if he does, then no, Minnesota's not a Super Bowl contender. But if he plays the way he's done this year, they are.
Do you really think that he would revert back that badly?
No.
I don't think he would revert back that badly, but we even saw it against the Bears on Monday that he still, for as many good throws as he still makes a lot of dumb throws. And he did get very lucky against us.
Betting against the Vikings.
He did make a lot of bad throws against the Bears on Monday. He just got away with some of them. One of them got picked off, and I think the other one, Justin Jefferson, ended up breaking up, so it didn't get picked off. So he did get away with some throws on Monday. I don't think he'll ever.
Every quarterback has ones that either slips out of their hand or, their guy tips up. I mean, there was one last night that I thought for sure was going to get picked.
I do have Minnesota in the NFC Championship game, though.
What's that?
I do have Minnesota in the NFC Championship game. I just have them losing to Philly.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's about right. And I'm not sure where that game's going to be played.
I really don't think it's going to matter where it's going to be played, whether it's played in whether it's played in Philadelphia or whether it's played in Minnesota. Philadelphia right now is the team to beat in the NFC. They've been playing the most complete football over the last 2 months.
Yes, I see that, Linda. They would be the first 0-5 team in Super Bowls.
Yeah. So, I mean, I do like whether Minnesota gets the 1 seed, the 2 seed, whatever they get. I think Minnesota gets to the NFC Championship game. Right now I just don't see a team beating Philadelphia in the playoffs on the NFC side of things. They've just been playing too well the last 2 months.
Exactly, and I don't think, and I even Jefferson and everything, like I just don't see them having enough firepower on offense to get past our defense. And I mean, not for nothing, the Philadelphia defense right now is ranked number 1 in like every category, which is odd because last year we were ranked 32nd in every category, it seemed. Even the gangrene defense, in 91, did not. They were best in yards, but they didn't give out. They actually weren't number 1 in points. There were 2 times that the defense of the Eagles were number 1 in all categories. The one time was in 1980, and the other time was in 1949. Both times they went to the championship. We lost the Super Bowl in 80. We won the championship in 49.
Yeah, so as it sits right now, you guys are first in total yards, second in against the pass, 7th against the run, and first again for points.
Yeah, so first, if really points and yards, that's the 2 major. Yep. Like so. Yeah, when you have like, and I think they're number 1 in total defense. So even though they're like number 2 against the pass and 6th against the run.
Yeah, I think Denver's at 2, and I think the Steelers are at 3, if I'm not mistaken. Even though Denver pooped the bed yesterday, they really did. God.
They did.
On defense, I'm talking about, not so much on offense, but on the defensive side, they could not stop the Chargers. They just couldn't.
I don't know that's the case. I feel like Green Bay. I'm looking at Joe's thing. I don't think Green Bay has got the same gumption that they did last year. Green Bay went on a run last year and had like 5 games in a row that they won at the end of the season.
And they came against like some pretty good opponents too. It wasn't like they were just playing like the bottom feeders. Like they beat, I think, 3 playoff teams the final 5 weeks to ultimately basically get on a hot stretch where right now Green Bay is going on another run right now, but they have the Bears in week 18 and they have the Saints this week. So it's not like they're taking out the cream of the crop right now to get on this run heading into the playoffs.
Yeah, but if they win big, I mean, you could almost correlate it the same way. I just feel that they aren't strong enough this year to be able to. They may make a surprise, and that surprise being beating the division winner. But I think that they're going to be in the number. I mean, obviously they're going to be in the number 6 spot, so they're going to wind up going up against the number 3, which is either going to be
Tampa Bay.
Yeah, probably Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
So. Then you have the Bay of Pigs battle, and I don't know. I give a little hedge to Baker there.
I would give the edge to Baker, especially if Jair doesn't play. Because if Jair doesn't play, and you got to put some of these other guys against Mike Evans will have a field day against the Packers secondary.
Their secondary is their weakness.
Yeah.
Actually,
with the way McMillan is playing too, I mean, I thought when Godwin went down, that was going to be it, but McMillan has really stepped up alongside of Evans. I think that's going to be a huge thing.
Correct. So I think that it's I'm not sure that Green Bay is going to make the type of splash that they made last year. They're not sneaking up on anybody anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Last year they snuck up on people. At least they snuck up on Dallas. And I mean, they brought San Francisco to the brink, but I thought San Francisco wasn't like San Francisco's Super Bowl was against the Eagles. last year. You know, they played probably their best game against the Eagles. And then after that, they put it on cruise control.
Yep.
You know, and then was able to make it to the Super Bowl and everything, but you could tell that they weren't the same team. Had they had the Super Bowl against the Chiefs, the same way they played against the Eagles, there would have been no doubt the 49ers would have won that game.
Yeah. You gotta keep that foot on the gas. Can't take it off.
Yeah, and they didn't. They did not have that. So I kind of feel the exact same way here. Like that, Green Bay is just not the same team as they were last year. They're not surprising anybody, and I feel that right now, like I said, there are only 3 legitimate teams that I see, and you could put, maybe Green Bay's at the top of that second tier, but you could say it wouldn't be a surprise if the Eagles, the Vikings, or the Lions were able to go to the Super Bowl. You know what I mean? Yeah. That any one of those 3. And then you look on the other side of the line there, and you got the Chiefs, the Bills,
Ravens.
Do you?
Yeah.
I put them on the top of the second tier.
I'd put the Ravens still kind of on that first tier just because
I'd love the Ravens to make it because I know we could spank them.
They're playing better now than what they were kind of at the beginning of the season. And some of the losses that Baltimore's had this year, you just kind of scratch your head wondering how they lost those games because they lost to the Raiders.
Well, they were self-inflicted.
Yeah, and like I said, they
lost to coaching. The problem is coaching is going to matter in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So that's where it does become a little bit of a question mark if they can get there, because they forget that Derrick Henry's on the roster, and that is the most ridiculous coaching thing ever. Atlanta does
especially the way he started off this season. Man, that guy was just running all over everybody.
And they have a future Hall of Fame kicker that's had the worst year he's ever had. So if all of a sudden he starts getting back to the Justin Tucker that everyone's known, that's going to be huge in the playoffs too. Because now, guess what? Oh, it's a 55-yard field goal. Go take that field goal, Justin Tucker. Now you don't have to go for it on 4th down because you don't trust them.
Yeah, and it makes me wonder if they changed the ball. Too many kickers having too many problems. Somebody mentioned that the other day on this show. If there was maybe a small change to the ball.
Maybe. Because, I mean, it's your top flight guys that are all missing.
Yeah.
Right.
So.
Dicker the kicker still making them.
Dicker the kicker.
I mean, there's a few guys that are still doing just fine. But the guys that have been lauded as some of the most accurate kickers all time are the ones that are missing, which is crazy.
Right.
Yeah. Boswell for the Steelers has been kicking the ball like nonstop. That guy counting so many fantasy points is stupid.
Well, yeah, it's because the offense can't score.
Oh, absolutely, I get that. But I'm saying like that he hasn't had any issues with the ball. I mean, he's been kicking it really well. But
well. I mean,
so Jay, we had the Bills as top tier.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes, we put the Bills in the top tier. That obviously, like I said, I feel like that right now as an Eagles fan, that short of this weekend where I kind of feel that the Eagles, if there was going to be a dud,
this would be it.
This would be the week to dud.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't think that they really care one way or another whether they get the first or the second seed. I mean, I think that they do mentally, but I don't think it matters much. I think that the way that they're playing is just killing teams right now, where they are able to rest their starters in the 4th quarter, when they're able to run 10 minutes off the clock in the last drive against one of the best defenses in the league. Like that's a big deal. That is a monstrous deal. When you take 10 minutes to end the game, it was like, that's amazing. That's amazing. And there's not any other team that can do that right now.
And the other reason why I think if they are going to have a dud, it could be this weekend too. It's if Washington wins, they clinch a playoff spot. This is kind of like that clinching game for Washington, because with Atlanta and Arizona both having 7 losses, if Washington were to lose out and one of those teams ended up winning out, Washington gets knocked out. But one more win for Washington, they knock both of those teams out. So that's kind of why I think like this week it's like they're not necessarily playing for their playoff lives right now, but it's more so like I think Washington just wants to win this game, get into the playoffs, and then just kind of figure out how they're going to play things those last 2 weeks.
Well, they could back in even with a loss by either one of those teams.
They could, but they don't want to leave that. They don't want to like put themselves.
They could win the last 2 games. I think so because the same situation here is that the Eagles clinched the NFC East with the win.
Yeah.
Yeah, with the loss, now you still got to go play up against Dallas or play against the Giants. It's so odd that that's the way it would actually go down. That even if they lose out and the Washington wins out, Washington would actually get it because if we lose out, we lost 3 division games in a row.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So Washington would actually win by division record, but that ain't happening. There ain't no way that they're going to fall apart like that.
No.
This isn't last year, and there isn't, that 3 games in 11 days type of situation.
And you didn't have Saquon last year either, where when things were falling apart last year, if you would have still had Saquon, at least he could have bailed you out quite a few times.
Right.
Yeah.
Hand off the ball, hand off the ball.
Hey,
So
look at the Cowboys.
They are getting old, but the thing is that's not affecting their accuracy. Usually when the guys get old, they start losing the leg, like they can't hit the distance, and they are having no problem with that. Like there's something that's off with the mechanics. So I don't think it's that scenario.
Hey, listen, I heard that they were starting to work out Morton Anderson again, and he's going to come back at 72 years old and still kick.
Well, I mean, what, Seabass played until he was like 45, right?
Yeah, but Seabass had a leg, though. I mean, that guy had a hell of a leg.
Morton Anderson was one of the best that ever do
it. He was.
Martin Anderson, Gary Anderson.
Mr. Anderson.
Hey, real quick. Speaking of falling apart, man.
I appreciate that. At least somebody does. 100%. That's probably not it.
Yeah. We were talking about that. Where if you are bald and you want to get new plugs, go to Turkey.
Yeah,
that's right.
Go to Turkey. That's right. I'm already booking my damn flight. God knows what I'm gonna come back with, but I'm booking a flight. But the thing about that is, it's like when you look at the Cowboys, Jerry Jones said that it sounds like he's gonna bring McCarthy back, and I'm thinking like, what? He said, well, they had a pretty good year, or they've had a good year. No, they haven't. I don't know if y'all saw that, but I was like, good God, man, we're going to get another contract of McCarthy. There you go.
I didn't hear anything about that. I'm going to look right now to see if there's any news about that, because that would actually be big news.
That would be. Seems like that would have been a big story. Seems like that would have bounced across my phone.
Yeah.
All right, Montgomery avoids season-ending surgery, but
I don't think there's no way
he's not going to play in the regular season, but he'll be back for the playoffs.
Yeah,
that's kind of what they were saying there. Yeah, I don't see anything about it.
Yeah, I mean, they added him to the injury report yesterday with a knee injury.
Yeah, knee injury says we'll see if he's even going to practice. So there's a chance. There is a chance. Yeah, I didn't see that.
Joe, come on, Joe. Really? Come on. Come on.
To be fair, Joe. The rest of us wouldn't mind it either.
The hell with the rest of you. Go. We're going to have a conversation.
He's gonna be back.
Burning.
He's gonna be back.
You know what? I really do think that Jerry Jones is gonna bring his ass back.
Do you?
Yeah, I do. Honestly, I think Jerry's gonna bring his ass back.
I do too.
Oh, okay. So it was in Sirianni's press release. So
got ya.
Is it time for Jerry Jones to sell the team? Of course. It's been time.
Hell yeah. Now, Frankie, what kind of question is that? Is that like a clickbait comment you're just
100% it is. He is poking the bear because it's hilarious.
It is hilarious. I mean, come on. What are we doing?
Just like it's time for Woody Johnson to sell the team too.
Oof, man.
Yeah. I definitely think. What if Douglas, the GM, came out and said it's like working with a teenager?
Well, that's because Woody Johnson turned down a trade because the player they were trying to trade for didn't have a high enough Madden rating.
Reportedly. I still don't really believe that that's how it went down, but like maybe it played a factor. Maybe the phrase came out of his face, but I seriously doubt that he kept football people from making football decisions because of a Madden rating. I'm going to go with there was a little more behind it than that. Yeah. Because even reading the article that you sent yesterday, like there's conflicting reports within it. So, I mean, who knows what actually went down? Did the phrase come out of his face? I have no doubt. I'm sure it did. Just because he does seem like that kind of guy. But at the same time, do I think he stopped a trade because of it? Probably not. Like that seems ridiculous, even for some of the worst owners in the league.
Hey, Joe, I'll tell you why I don't want McCarthy back. Because he's antiquated. The game has passed that man by a long time ago, brother.
Yeah, Joe, he hates going 12-5. He wants Garrett back. He wants to go 8-8 with claps.
You know what? I was going to send yourself.
Oh, this is going to be fun.
I was going to send you a nice Christmas present, but now that you peed in my Cheerios, you can go fudge yourself.
Well, I mean, the show's long. I got to pee somewhere. Man.
Hey, and then he goes on to say that Chris Letts asked early present for Jay. Well, what the hell? Why is that a present for me? I think what? I was good. I shouldn't get no coal. I shouldn't get a present. Why you send me some coal?
Because it's a dumpster fire. You got to keep it. Got to keep the fuel.
Well, you know what, man? I have been burning for so long on this, man. I mean, you really got to love your team to stay with them through all this.
No, it makes sense that you guys are always a dumpster fire. It's a star. They're supposed to burn.
I'll tell you, the fans that stick with their teams more so than the Cowboys that I have a lot of respect for are Cleveland Brown fans and Jet fans. If you really got to love your team to stick with all that crap.
I mean, you can put the Detroit Lions in that mix too for how bad they were for how long.
Well, that's true. But at least they were trying to get better, right? I mean,
not really. They went 0-16.
Well, no, I'm saying like last year and like recently they've been, since they got Dan Campbell, it looks like they're really building a culture there now. You know? I mean,
yeah, and they're not even the last team to go 0-16. So,
Nope.
Wasn't that Cleveland?
Yeah, when they had Hugh Jackson.
Oh man, that was a rough time for them.
It's
amazing how many Cleveland Brown bars there are around the country and even internationally. I mean, even when I was in Germany, they had Cleveland Brown bars, and I'm like,
I actually don't know that you can watch their brand of football without being in a bar.
Hey, listen, I got you. I get it. It's weird to see that phenomena, that how many of those bars are Cleveland-based bars around.
Especially when you have Deshaun Watson playing quarterback, you need a couple drinks to get through that.
Oh man, you need a whole bottle.
Yeah, hey, watch out with the bottle and Deshaun, it turned into a Diddy party real quick.
Oh, hey, coach.
And on that note, we hope you enjoyed our show today. If you're watching on YouTube, be sure to like and subscribe. Helps us bring our content to you. And of course, if you are watching on Roku, stay tuned for the next hour. Otherwise, enjoy the games this weekend. We got championship college football. We got the NFL. We'll see y'all Monday.
Cussing's bad.
Later, guys.
In Introducing National Streaming Sports, live and on-demand sports talk programming that you can access 24/7. For the premier sports talk experience, tap into our Roku channel. Start your mornings with Mac and Jack covering all the weekend sports action. Then pour a cup and enjoy all the sports you can drink on the Coffee and Sports podcast. At midday, talk sports from east to west on the Coast to Coast podcast. Followed at night by some hot girl talk with Prim and Proper Sports featuring Sonia Pearson. Talk boxing on the Gloved Fist. Yankee fans tune in for Start Spreading the News. And there's more on the College Sports Huddle and Sports Scope with Robert Butler. There are 20 podcasts in all and 70 weekly shows, giving us a 3.4-star viewer rating. To find us on Roku TV, search for National Streaming Sports on the Roku search bar. Click on the logo and you're in. National Streaming Sports.